And with me right now from Escrow Options is Bernadette Kirkus, and always good to see you.
Thank you.
Welcome. We're going to talk about a few things today, but first let's talk about, in general, why an escrow company is needed and why it's important. I think everyone here watching has bought in homes probably several times, and there's always an escrow company. Sometimes they may think, why is that? Why is that middle person there? So what's the purpose?
So we are in place because we hold all of the funds and we make sure that the contract terms are done equally and right. We're kind of like the middle neutral third party.
Okay.
So like an attorney, but not an attorney. Yeah, we make sure all the funds are dispersed properly based on the contracted terms.
Okay, so as I recall, you know, one party who's the buyer puts down a down payment or whatever it may be, and that is basically held in escrow.
Right.
And then if the reason you folks are there, if something goes wrong, the buyer backs out, maybe the home inspection reveals some major problem, they go, you know, we don't even want to deal with this. That's why the escrow company is there, so the monies are staying neutral during that time.
Right, exactly. And then we also, like I said, we make sure that anything that's within the contract is done properly. So,
Okay.
you know, once the down payment is in escrow and say everything does go well and escrow is getting ready to close, we make sure that any outstanding bills are paid properly. So those inspection reports, home warranties paid, termites are paid, HOA if there is one. All of them are paid equally outside of the funds, and then the remaining net proceeds go to the seller, and if there's any refunds back due to the buyer, that those are all done correctly.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, like an attorney or an accountant, like you're
Yes.
paying your taxes and
Yes.
kind of the same type of thing. Not as bad as paying taxes though. But okay, now here's something, you know, the reason you're here today is I doubt very few people think about the security aspect of escrow. We certainly didn't.
Right.
It's just like, you know, we work with a realtor whom we knew it was a personal friend, everything went well, but it's like, okay, well, this is the escrow company is such and title company. Okay, that's fine. You don't even, most people do not even think about that. So why is that important?
It's important because why would you not want to know who's holding your money and who's holding your personal information? When you've got personal credit cards, you want to know that your credit card is secure and safe and
Right.
that no one's going to be stealing that credit card number and unauthorized charges are happening. So when you're dealing with real estate properties, which is your largest investment in most people's lives, why would you not want to know that your money is going to be 100% secure and that your personal information is going to be 100% secure?
Okay.
Those are questions to speak to your real estate about. Okay, well, when we open escrow, how long has that escrow company been in business? Have they ever suffered a loss or have been hit with wire fraud or cyber theft?
Okay.
What kind of protections do they have in place to make sure that my money and my funds are 100% secure? Those are all questions you should ask.
Are some of those things they have happened to escrow
Yes,
companies?
several.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And I would think, man, if that happens and you're in the middle of something, then everything just would stop, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then the other thing that that a lot of real estate agents don't really know so far is that they can be held 100% liable for it. So their E&O insurance doesn't cover in the event of cyber fraud happening. So say your escrow does get hacked and the seller's money vanishes, say $100,000 plus vanishes. The escrow company has to file bankrupt and now they're gone.
Yeah.
Who do you think that client's going to go after? They're going to go
Right.
after the real estate agent.
Right,
And what
right.
what they can end up doing too is they can personally sue them and place a lawsuit against their homes, their properties, anything that they have in order to try and
Right.
recoup some of that money. So, you know, it's also very important for the real estate company and the real estate agent to know what escrow they're using so that they're not put in this position.
Okay, now, when it comes to the escrow company, I didn't even know that you could choose. I just thought, okay, well, the realtor, you know, they have one or two escrow companies that they usually use or whatever it might be, and that's that.
Right. So it is seller's choice, and mostly that's that's said within the actual purchase contract.
Okay.
So if the seller does do their due diligence and kind of does their research, and there's a specific escrow company that they want to use for, you know, XYZ reasons, then they do have the right to utilize that escrow company.
Okay.
A lot of these sellers do have a long-lasting trust and relationship with their realtors, and so they put that trust within their real estate agent to make that call for them,
Okay.
which is fine. A lot of the real estate agents actually do work with reputable escrow companies,
Okay.
so that's great. But you just, again, want to still ask those questions because it's still your money, it's still your investment. So just make sure that, you know, your real estate agent may have had a long-standing relationship with an escrow company, but that escrow company might not be up to date as far as protections and protocols are in place. So
Okay.
you don't want to be risking your funds and your information.
So it's the seller's choice, not the buyer's?
Correct.
Okay. And then the buyer just has to go along with whatever escrow
Pretty
company.
much.
Okay.
Yes.
And but of course you hold the funds
Right.
for the buyer, right?
Right.
You're, or you know, the down payment, whatever else is needed.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about it comes a time when you know, as I said, and people may back out, and this is where the escrow company is important because it's an independent party. You go through the process, you know, like I said, for whatever reason, there's, you know, 30-day escrow. The buyer can back out up until a certain time, and then if, of course, if there's a major problem with the residence they're buying, then they really can turn around and go, no, you know, the inspection went through and it's just not what we thought.
Right. So there are clauses within the purchase contract that will clarify a lot of that. So there's usually something called a contingency period.
Right. Yes.
And usually within that contingency period is when the buyer can decide whether or not they want to purchase that property. If it's past the contingency period, there's usually a clause in that will state, you know, whether or not the buyer will be due back his full deposit, or if
Okay.
now the seller will have that full deposit because they've backed out after the contingency period. And if there are outstanding invoices that have already been given to escrow because work has already been done, those are owed payment. So a lot of times, depending again on what the contract terms say, the funds will be paid for out of the buyer's deposit, or the seller will
Okay.
need to bring in some funds or cut checks themselves, depending on, again, the contract terms.
Okay, and along with that, it is up to the escrow company to make sure any outstanding HOA dues are paid, or
Right.
whatever. Maybe there's some taxes due. These are the kinds of things that you look at. You're not just holding the money for the buyer
Correct.
to give to the seller and waiting for everything to end. There's a lot that goes into it. It's more-
There's a lot, yes, which is usually why a typical escrow is anywhere between 30 and 45 days, because not
Okay.
only are all the inspections and, you know, things are happening during the escrow process, but we also have to make sure that any current liens on the property are being paid and removed properly, that if there's any back taxes, that those are all paid and cleared and removed off the property. If there's any type of judgments or any type of special liens on the property, that those are all paid from the seller's net proceeds and removed off the property. So we make sure that once escrow is closed and title is transferred to the new homeowner, that they're getting a very clean
Right,
title
right.
with no other encumbrances on it that belong to the previous owner.
So you're not only protecting the buyer, you're protecting the seller.
Correct.
Both ways.
Right.
Making sure that the seller is getting the funds that are due them, the deposits, the whatever it might be. And then, of course, you're protecting the buyer in that they're getting a clean title.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if someone wants to use escrow options or whoever, how do they go about it? They, you know, somebody's watching now, hey, I'm going to sell my place, that's who I want to use. They have the right to tell their realtor, this is who I want to go with.
Exactly, and that's basically the best way to do it.
Okay.
More than likely, if they've already, you know, either wanting to sell their home or are already in the process of selling their home, they already have a real estate agent that they're working with.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
best thing to do is to communicate with your real estate agent and say, hey, you know, I just watched the show this morning. They were talking with escrow options, and I really liked what they were
Okay.
saying. I know that they have, you know, cyber insurance. They've got SSAE certification, which is the highest audit certification you can receive for protecting funds and information. I want to make sure that my information is kept very secure and my money is not going to go anywhere, so I'd like to utilize them for escrow.
Okay.
And it's just a conversation that they would have with the real estate agent.
All right. Now, do you work out of state, meaning there's a buyer that's coming from another area? Can you handle that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you just, as far as Escrow Options, the company, are you just located here, or do you have other areas?
Oh, we're located primarily throughout Southern California.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So we actually have an office that is right down the street on Irvine Center Drive, and that is our office that has our Laguna Woods specialty team.
Okay.
So basically, they handle nothing but Laguna Woods, know it like the back of their hand, know all the requirements.
And it's complicated
criterias.
here.
It's very complicated,
Yes.
yes. So we have a team that's, I mean, the escrow officer that works on this team, that heads this team, has been doing it since 2008, I believe. So, so she's very, very knowledgeable. Knows
right.
everybody in
That's
the HOA.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of difficult parts to when you're having, you know, different mutuals and their rules versus this rule and all that. So to know that is very important.
And we're also the only escrow company that has a Laguna Woods concierge service. So we'll send an escrow personnel to the homeowners to actually sit with them and discuss the documents and walk them through it and explain it to them however long it may take. And it's free of charge. And we'll notarize documents if needed, all of that, and it's free of charge because we want to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of having the right escrow company. So if you are selling and you have a realtor right now or thinking of doing so, give Escrow Options a call. I have the website on the screen there, and I wanted to make sure I didn't put the number up because I forgot to ask you. Is that the number?
An 800 number.
Okay, I don't have the 800 number. I had her. I think that's your personal number. That's why I didn't put it up. So, but escrowoptions.com, you can get that there. And thank you very much for coming by.
Absolutely.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's nice to see you as well.
All right, we'll be right back. That's good.